Yo, what's up, everyone? Devin, how you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you? Good to see you over there on the left.
Good seeing you virtually. I like this, man. It's not good. I'm getting too used to not seeing you in person. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. It's not good. But
I'm gonna be weirded out when I see you next. But yeah, we have a special show today, right?
It's gonna be a great one. And why don't you tell the people why that is?
Because we have producer extraordinaire, Mr. Michael Goldwasser, alongside Grammy award-winning artist, player of all instruments, Mr. Jason Mraz, who just came out with a new album, Look for the Good, and it's an all reggae album. And man, we're gonna dig into that. Got a lot of cool questions to ask Jason. Everyone out there, get your questions ready. We're gonna start posting you guys up a little later, so you guys can have a little one-on-one with Mr. Mraz too. But before we get into all that, we're gonna do our weekly segment of Song of the Week.
Yes, and before we even do that, we want to remind the people to, if you're watching right now, to share, hit the share button, hit the like button, and let's get a bunch of people watching this, because I think this is going to be a great show today. I also, before we do the Tune of the Week segment, I want to mention that I have started my own, what I hope will be a new tradition on the Reggae PodClash, and I've brought out my Stein.
Wow!
You see this?
Look at that, dude.
I usually want to have two beverages,
right?
And I don't have the proper vessel to hold them. I've decided that the Stein that Vanessa and I bought in Cambria about 5 years ago is going to be the new PodClash.
What's engraved on that? Vessel. Is it like?
I bought it in an antique store in Cambria.
Okay.
It's like a dude riding a donkey. Oh, and there's like some rodeo stuff happening.
Right. It's not cursed or anything, right?
We're going to find out.
We'll find out. We'll see what happens. Dang, man, how many drinks can you fit in that? I mean, I feel inadequate because I got my little mug right here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so every week we like to play some tunes that we picked from our record collections, and so the first one is Rogers today, and this is a tune called "Tighten Up." This is one of the great reggae tunes.
Yeah, man, that's a dance floor filler right there. Ooh, Tighten Up by the Untouchables. Not to be confused by the Untouchables out of San Diego from the Two Tone Days. Yeah, Jerry Miller and those guys. Not to be confused. Two different bands. This band is from Jamaica. Produced by Mr. Lee Perry. You could hear it in the recording. Man, what was it? A couple weeks ago, we talked about which tune was it? Oh, People Funny Boy.
Mm-hmm.
How there was a transition from rocksteady to reggae music, or what would become reggae music, and you heard different characteristics in every instrument. And this is definitely there with the bubble, right? So the piano's still doing the skank, drums are starting to show a little characteristic of that fast hi hat, and the bubble, I think, is what's making it,
Right.
classified to the 68, 69 kind of reggae, rocksteady, going into, the early bubbly reggae, as I call it. And that song is just so dope. I got that one in my box always. You just put that on and it gets everyone out on the dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
And this song kind of sparked a series of LPs, right? So you had this the Tighten Up series. I think it's like 5 LPs deep. And it was like a greatest hits kind of thing. And it had like, all the go-to songs that would define 1969 reggae out of Trojan Records. So it's kind of the first comp you get when you're into that, rocksteady skinhead reggae stuff. You can't go wrong with any of those Tighten Up comps. And believe it or not, Palma Records actually took the idea and came up with a Straighten Up, same kind of concept. It was like 5 or 6 volumes, same kind of reggae. And at the time, you had Palma Records and Trojan Records that were doing the same thing.
Did you say what year this was?
This isn't like 69 straight up. This is, yes, the November 5th, 1969, to be exact. Yeah.
Is that true?
No, it's not true. I didn't throw it out there. But it might as well be, right?
November 5th, yeah. A good day for reggae.
Right? They're getting ready for Thanksgiving, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, man, I had to get this record, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. I had to buy it and went on Discogs and got it. But
the first, one of the first reggae LPs when I started collecting vinyl that I got was an Upsetters dub album that you would see a lot at, in the year 2000, right around there. You would always see this Lee Perry dub reissue that I'm blanking on the name of, but it had a dub version of Tighten Up.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like super dubby, it was black. You could tell it was Black Ark. There was Phaser on it, but it didn't have the vocals throughout the whole song, and that was my introduction to it. But it was the same rhythm, same exact. It wasn't a redo. So that was one of the first reggae songs I really started getting into, and it wasn't the full vocal version. But I've always that song has always been at a special place in my heart.
There you go. I did it for you. And like I said, it sounds really, really similar, like to People Funny Boy, the Lee Perry song that we played a couple weeks ago. And that's why Mr. Lee Perry is the magician behind that.
You're right, though. Like, it's straightened up, no pun intended. It did tighten up a little bit, which makes you wonder, it being one of the first songs with that sound to it.
Right.
They, I can totally see them getting the song title idea from just the feel of the tune, and then totally. You mentioned the bubble, but also the bass, the boom 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 boom,
totally,
like that pattern you hear it over and over again, after this, in different songs. I think of Mighty Diamonds, Have Mercy, boom 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 boom, and you hear that little thing happening in so many tunes, and this might be one of the first ones, and that's one of the things that that's a reggae bass line. That's not really a rock steady bass line.
Not at all.
And definitely not, ska is a totally different thing.
Right, totally. Yeah. I love it, right? And that window of rock steady turning to reggae. We get so many hits like that. A lot of stuff off Amalgamated is like that. Joe Gibbs,
right.
The Pioneers. Yeah. It's a go-to song, man. What do you got coming up next? What do you got? What do you got in your stable?
So I'm playing. It's ironic because I'm the one playing the organ instrumental today, even though Roger is the organ master. This is a tune called "Crazy Rhythm" by Winston Wright, 1970. Here we go.
Yeah. Heavy.
Man. So, a couple things about that. I should have mentioned this before I played it because I wanted people to listen to. So we'll get to what a great organ instrumental that is, just in and of
Mhm.
itself. But to me, it's one of the first examples of what would become dub. Because, like, granted, there's no echo really or anything like that happening,
Right.
but you can hear the engineer getting in there and raising and lowering the fader of the whole rhythm section. It's like and like that's one of the first times I've heard that.
Right.
I don't know, I haven't done enough extensive research to know what is considered to be like the first dub song, but like to me, that's one of the candidates if you're defining one of the main characteristics of dub as the engineer having more of a musician role instead of just mixing the tune, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know if you can think of an earlier example where the engineer is coming in and really playing the faders like that.
Man, there's a song called Papa Top by Andy Capp.
Right, right.
It's like
Yep.
and I think it's a cut to like Derek Morgan's Fat Man, like, hey you fat man, that kind of one.
Right, right, right.
So like the cut that's called Papa Top, it sounds like they overdubbed organ. That actually that's that rhythm, right? So if you're an organ player, keyboard player, and you're like, well, do a Papa Top rhythm. It's like and they do a lot of dropping in and out. Same concept as what's going on here, but
Right.
and it's like, all right, which one came first?
Right.
Whatever, what year?
Regardless of which one came first, there are definitely early examples. You can hear
Yeah, totally.
the engineer going like, you know what, like let me step outside of, there's something I can do here that the musicians didn't do that maybe they should have done,
Right.
and I'll make it cool. So that's one of the reasons I love that. And then plus, it's just like such a dope melody. I love Winston Wright, the late great Winston Wright. I think to me, he's right up there with any of the organ, with Jackie Matu, and just like, anytime I hear a Winston Wright tune, it's going to be a banger. That is the B-side of Top Secret, which is
Top
the more
Secret.
popular tune by him, which is, of course, his organ version of Alton Ellis's "I'll Be Waiting," which in
Right.
and of itself is an amazing tune. So we could do like a whole podcast just on that record and like those three tunes.
Definitely. And then we could go from Out and Alice to when we backed Out and Alice up a long time ago. We
Yeah,
gotta do a show where we talk about all the OGs that we backed up.
for sure. And I remember him talking about "I'll Be Waiting" because we didn't play that with him, but we brought it up because we all loved that tune so much.
Yeah.
And before we proceed here, we want to mention to everybody watching who maybe is watching the show for the first time, this is how we always start the show because Roger and I love old school Jamaican music. And if you want to hear some of the playlists we've put together, or really take some time to listen to the tunes of the week that we're going to feature next week, you can go to the reggaepodclash.com, and we've got our playlist up there. So please go check that out.
Yeah, you could marinate with these tunes and really be familiar with them before we start talking about them and getting nerd out and stuff like that. And I just want to touch on Winston real quick, right? You can't bring up an organ player without like
That's
Winston. You're so right about everyone thinking Jackie Matu, and for good reason. Jackie Matu is a genius. He is the person that defines Jamaican organ. But Winston is like not only different, but in some cases, more trained. It's more poetic. He's like a better painter to me. A lot of the chromatic stuff he does that kind of sounds like a circus organ or a circus carnival. It's like, wow, man, there's some tunes that it's really poetic. Instead of where Jackie's more funky and soulful, like you can kind of see it coming. He's gonna get down and he's gonna murder it. But like Winston is just like telling a story. It's pretty cool. Like because there's some tunes where it's a little. You could say sad, and you could say, stuff that you wouldn't spin. I got so many 45s of Winston that I would never spin at a club because it's like, you can't. You want people to move.
That's a great way to put it. I think you're totally right about that. Like, whereas maybe Jackie was more, and not taking anything away from Jackie, he's the greatest, but like maybe where he was just such a virtuoso on his instrument. Winston Wright was also great at his instrument, but maybe, relied more heavily on like putting some thought into the actual melodies he was writing, and
totally
the way a lyricist would.
Right, exactly. And he didn't come onto the scene until Tommy McCook recognized him. The Supersonics was like his first kind of end. So if you notice any ska stuff, it was, there's no Winston Wright, whereas Jackie has always been the organ keyboard player for Studio One and all that. Winston just comes on the scene all of a sudden with these organ versions in the Rocksteady era and with the Supersonic. So,
well, we got there was a message in our Reggae PodClash Instagram DMs, someone asking about if we can do a show just talking about reggae organ, and I haven't replied to him yet, but I mean, in my head I was like, yes, that's absolutely something we're gonna do. So.
It may be our. I'd like to see the number of people that would attend. I could talk all day, about all that stuff.
Well, there'll be 3 people there for sure.
You, me, and him.
The dude. Yeah.
Well, dude, I love that tune, and
right.
yeah, like Devin said, if you want to get hip to what we're gonna spend next week, go check out the website. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, man, this is such a cool opportunity. These gentlemen. I've been blessed and fortunate to be asked to be on this latest album from Mr. Jason Mraz, and I did not know Jason, I did not know Michael too good before this, and they are just amazing people, amazing human beings, and I'm so stoked they're on the show. Without further ado, Mr. Michael Goldwasser and Mr. Jason Mraz.
Hey, so I appreciate the air horn. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we'll get a real one in here someday. Yeah. For anybody out there who may not know, Jason just released his new album, produced by the great Mr. Michael Goldwasser, titled "Look for the Good." The album was dropped last Friday on Juneteenth. Jason, what was the importance of this release date? What was the reasoning?
I'll tell you what, man. I've been getting an education, much like much of America is getting an education right now. We picked June 19th back in January, so about a 6-month lead. Like, okay, we're going to put it out in the summer. The only thing on our radar was a Goldwasser bat mitzvah, really, was where we were at in time. Right. And COVID happened, and this awakening started to happen. The Black Lives Matter movement really started to get a lot of momentum, obviously. And suddenly, June 19th, I was taught a lesson on what Juneteenth is, when the last state finally emancipated and it became a true day of independence. Well, I was never taught that in high school. So now I was faced with this decision, like, wow, I'm about to release an album on this historic day. And all eyes are on that day. And I was actually asked if I want to put the album aside and put the album out later. I said, I don't want to put it out later because I'm not the only one benefiting from this album. They have a lot of different writers and musicians on this record, and the music, I feel, resonates with the times. Let's put it out. But I don't need to capitalize on this. So what made me feel extra chill bumps on this entire project was realizing that now that it was done, I could actually give this album away. And I took my record advance and any money that I had earned so far on the record, and I donated to Black Lives Matter, Equal Justice Initiative, Center on Policy Initiative, some great orgs, gave $250,000 away, and forever on June 19th, whatever royalties Look for the Good generates on its sales, I'm going to donate and continue to keep the momentum, because this can't be a movement. It can't be a moment. It has to be a movement. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
that became, go ahead, Raj.
I was just going to say, man, hats off. I've never seen something like that, as far as that amount of money donated. And talk about, and I mean this with all respect and love, putting your money where your mouth is. So many people out there just want to, preach, and then there's no action taken. And so I commend you, man. Hats off, dude.
Thanks. And I mean, and I'm singing on this record about that kind of world. I'm singing these ideals of equality and giving, and seeing each other and hearing each other. What good would those lyrics be if they were just lyrics with no action? So that's why I got chill bumps, because I've been singing this material and dreaming about this world, but now an opportunity was put right in front of me. We're like, hey, you can do good right now, right here. And it was an extraordinary realization. And at the beginning of this project, Michael and I even said, we just want to make positive vibes. We want to make a great album that people in reggae will really love, and then people who may have never heard reggae are also going to love it. Positive vibes. That was the goal. The goal wasn't, let's make money on this project, let's get fame on this project. That wasn't it. It was like, let's create some positive vibes. And so when June 19th came around, I realized the album's made. Like, let's keep the positive vibes going. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Totally makes sense, man. And you nailed it. I know me and Devin have talked about this. This can't be a blip on the radar. It can't be something that people get excited about for a couple weeks and then it just kind of, falls on the sidelines. It has to be something. It has to be a switch that got turned on and just stays on, And so
Yeah.
that's so awesome. Let's connect the dots for the people. We got producer extraordinaire, Mr. Michael Goldwasser over here. We got the crazy talented Mr. Jason Mraz. Michael, was this your first time working with Jason on this album? And how did this relationship start?
No, this wasn't the first time, but it was kind of like as part of the whole process, right? Like I actually met with Jason's label, former label, Atlantic Records, in 2010. About doing some remixes for Jason, for his album at the time. And honestly, I can't remember what happened. Like
In 2010, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
Wow, I never got that part.
Sorry.
All right, keep going.
So I don't remember why it didn't happen. Maybe it was just like major label things don't happen, and so I had some meetings at Atlantic, and then I got busy with other stuff, and I don't know what happened, but the good thing is that it happened at the right time, which is in 2018. Someone else from Atlantic called me up, like, you want to do a Jason Mraz remix? And I don't know if there was like in their database of possible remixes for Jason Mraz,
Right,
my
right.
name was there, or if this person had an independent idea. I mean, the history of the world is filled with people having independent ideas that are the same at different times. So anyway, I said yes. I loved the tune. It was for Have It All, which was on his last album. And, Jason, I heard through the grapevine that Jason really liked my remix, but they wouldn't connect me with Jason because I don't know why. I kept on nicely asking, like, hey, they'd forward me an email from Jason that would be like, Michael, this is the greatest remix I've ever heard, but they take out Jason's email, so I can't write back to him.
Jason's like, I never said that.
So anyway, finally, because I'm a nice but persistent guy, they put me in touch with Philly, who is Jason's communications director, and she was like, oh, of course I'll connect you with Jason. So Jason and I corresponded, and I said, hey, next time you're in New York, I'd love to go to dinner with you. And 2 months later, he emailed me out of the blue. It was out of the blue for me. Maybe he had been planning it the whole time.
Right.
And said, yeah, I'm coming to New York next week. So cool. We went to this Ethiopian-Israeli restaurant up in Harlem that I love.
Ooh.
And we just immediately clicked. And like we started, I don't remember exactly how it came up. Oh, Jason said like, oh, I grow coffee now. And it's like, oh, I just read a book about a guy who decided to start a business importing coffee from Yemen. It's called The Monk of Mocha. And Jason's like, oh, I love that book, and I know the guy. And then 3.5 hours later, we had basically agreed to do an album.
Wow, man.
All right.
Am I missing anything, Jason? I don't know.
No, that's pretty much it.
All right,
Yeah.
all
They laid out all the terms. We were ready to rock.
Dang, that's so beautiful. I mean, I wanna say that for everyone listening, reggae music is nothing new to Mr. Mraz. If you jump on YouTube, you've been injecting reggae music in your set for years. I even came across when you're doing renditions of some of your hits. For example, I Am Yours. So Jason, how did you get into reggae music? Like, what was your journey with that?
I was a kid who was gonna either get it off the radio, off their friends' mixtapes, or if I went into a record store, whatever was on display. I didn't really start digging for records until probably a year ago in my life. So I hit a lot of the names, a lot of Marley coming up. Legend, that was the main playlist for us in high school. Like, those were the songs off of our high school. Goldwasser was actually a huge portal for me into some other reggae because of his tribute records through Easy Star All Stars.
Yeah.
And then when I started touring, my monitor tech, Micah, started handing me some Studio One and some Trojan records that got a little more interesting. And then I discovered dub, and that, to me, was like, oh, this is where I've been trying to get my whole life.
Nice.
And just started building a dub collection through that. But yeah, I would say it was the Marley Legend record. Oh, you know what? You mentioned Papa Top.
Yeah.
early on into this. Actually, that was my introduction to reggae. My stepdad had 20
What?
reggae classics, a CD. And
What?
Papa Top was on there. Papa Top, Sipa Sop, is that the same track?
It might be. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'm pretty sure it's Sipa Sop. We can Google it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mighty Diamonds was probably on there, but it was a nice variety of 20 reggae classics, and that was the
Right.
CD in our household prior to getting on to Legend.
Crazy, man.
Nice.
That's crazy. Yeah, yeah. That's a cool intro.
Do you guys have people in the comments are asking if you guys can turn your mics up on your end? Do you have the abilities to
Oh,
do that? If not, it's
absolutely.
not a big deal.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
I'm also a soft talker.
Oh,
No, it's
that
beautiful.
sounds great.
Okay,
This is actually
good.
my first time ever speaking. So it's kind of weird. I was
You're
mute until
killing
this
Mm-hmm.
it, dude.
moment. I was like doing the Reggae PodClash.
You
I
are
gotta
killing
learn how
it.
to talk, yeah.
You're killing it at speaking. But regarding the songwriting on this record, you were talking about it earlier. Did you find that, and this is for Jason, I guess, but for both of you guys, did you find that writing a full album's worth of reggae songs caused you to change or alter anything about your songwriting approach?
No, because it was important for me not to change anything about how I do it and who I am. So quite a few of these songs were written as acoustic demos, and then I would give them to Michael, and Michael would then go, what era, what style would be best to dress this song up in? And then send me back an arrangement that then I would then try to sing over until we found kind of the right swing and the right style. Michael, you can probably chime in on this one.
Yeah, I got to say it actually wasn't that difficult. Like it, of course, we put a lot of effort into it, but everything really kind of flowed. It made sense. You know, it wasn't trying to fit a square peg into a round hole or anything. You know, Jason's songs, the ones that we chose, lent themselves to a reggae reinterpretation, and I've been doing reggae reinterpretations of non-reggae songs for so
Right.
long that it wasn't that hard for me to just put on my arranger's cap and come up with it. Like I think very few of the rhythms, the bass lines were struggles for me. It was like I heard the song and almost instantly I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to play, you know. So it was really cool, and it also was great. Jason gave me the opportunity to submit music to him that he would then write lyrics on, which
Nice.
is actually the origin of Look for the Good, and it's just a really I'm really fortunate to be able to be part of the creative process like that.
That's great. I mean, like we said earlier, me and Devin are like reggae nerds. So what makes
Obviously.
what makes Jamaican music super unique is that a lot of the times the producer is a superstar as well. You know, you got people like Cox and Dodd, Duke Reed, Lee Perry, Leslie Kong, Bunny Lee. The list goes on. But there's a reason why, we know the reggae producers. So this was a big part of this album, and I wanted to know: did you have like a particular goal or a mindset when you were producing it, Michael?
Oh wow, that's a great question. I mean, this is going to sound trite, but my only goal was to like make the best album for Jason. You know, like I don't need it to sound like, oh, it's got to sound like it was recorded at Channel 1 in 1978 and then mixed at King Tubby's. You know, like maybe some of it came out that way, but it really was just like, let's make something real. Let's take Jason's message and his voice, literally and figuratively, and amplify it through a nice big reggae sound system. So yeah, my goal was just to make a great album. You know, I wasn't thinking about has to be this, has to be that. You know, it was just honest. And I think, one great thing about working with you, Jason, among many, is that I think we were always very honest with each other and a lot of great back and forth. And it was real, like, trading ideas. It wasn't a struggle. It was like a great collaboration,
Yeah.
There was. Go ahead, Jason.
No, you said it.
Okay, well, there's a question here from a great local band actually called Through the Roots that I was going to ask about this too. So I'm just going to put it up here. They want to know, Jason, will you do a tour with the players of the instruments on your new album when shows start back up? And that was my tour. I mean, my question also is, before COVID was the plan to tour with the reggae musicians that you used for this album and to play a largely reggae set?
Yes, yes. And we would have actually done another session to increase the catalog and have more recordings as well as rehearse for an eventual tour this fall. But unfortunately, we had to cancel that tour and any announcement of that tour. So now it's being pushed back to potentially the spring. It all depends on the health of the planet, you know. But yes, the minute we are given the green light, all the players of this record, we're going to put as many people as possible in a tour bus and go to as many cities as possible and bring this thing to life, plus other songs from my catalog.
Right.
Because this music is just so good, and the recordings are great, but the live feeling is really something. It is, and Roger was there. You know,
Oh
it's
man, yeah. The energy, right? I mean, it was
energy.
so cool at the Maranch, like being able to play the whole set. And
Mm-hmm.
you could just feel the energy, and everyone vibed off each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, geez, the Maranch is like heaven. It's like heaven. It's like when you die, you go to the Maranch. I think. I don't know. Um,
And I got to say something about the live show, which is somehow, maybe because it's just meant to be, like when our very first moment of rehearsing before we even recorded anything,
Yeah.
we sounded like a band who'd been playing
Exactly.
together for a long time and that could go out. Like we could have gone out that night. We were rehearsing in LA. We could have gone out in LA and played a club, and people were like, "Whoa, that's the best reggae show I've ever seen."
Man.
And then after recording, when we did a show at the Maranch, which you can find some videos of it on YouTube for anyone who's interested, it was like pretty seamless. We played like, I mean, it just felt so amazing. You know, I mean, I've been playing music for a really long time, but that was one of my favorite performances just because of just the vibes were just incredible, and just to be able to play with musicians where, you know, as musical director, I have the responsibility of like making sure everything is cool and running smooth. But even with no real preparation for that show, except for having recorded the last 2 weeks, we really killed it. You know, it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think all the musicians are at the top of their game. All the gear is clean, so we could just get right in, and it sounded so amazing, so high fidelity. And what was the third thing I was going to say just now? Oh, the songs themselves, I feel like are kind of intuitive, so they're quick learners. Does that make any sense? Like they have this momentum about them that I think we were able to play them so quickly live is because they have a direction that they're going, and so they come to life quite easily. So that's another reason why these songs are really meant to be live. And I much prefer live music anyway. The studio is just kind of where you're trying to take a photograph of those songs, but those songs really need to have life breathed into them night after night to come alive in an environment and really affect people's lives.
That's true, because like one of the reasons why people enjoy seeing live music so much when it's a band or an artist that they love is because they've just come to love those songs. So that is one of the main, it's like that's one of the main differences between the recording and the live show. It's like the recording is where you get to like become familiar with these songs, and now these songs as a fan they take on meaning for you, and now this is my favorite song, right? And then you go see it live, and now you have that totally different experience with it. And I can, this album lends itself to, there's lots of songs on here that are going to be people's favorites, I think. And you guys were mentioning the players on the record. And Jason, could you maybe list some of the musicians that are on this record? Because I know you guys went and got some heavy hitters from the reggae world.
Yes. So at first I looked into my camp and asked Michael, is like, hey, I recommend Daniel Mandelman. I think he'd be great. He's got the chops on piano and electric pianos. Andre De Santana on bass, who plays pretty regularly with Tamir Barzilay. And I asked Michael, I said, are you familiar with Tamir? Tamir and I had just done a tour together, and he was talking to me about how he grew up on reggae. I was like, wow, reggae, that's cool, because I knew in my mind I wanted to be doing this reggae project. I said, I wonder if Tamir would be good. So I asked Michael, Tamir? And Michael's response was great, because he said, from Funkenstein? Is it Funkenstein or Funkenstein? But either way, it was like, from Funkenstein?
It's neither. It's fucking Stein. Okay.
Yeah, haven't you seen Young Frankenstein? No.
Oh yeah.
And I was taken
Young
aback. I
Frankenstein.
was like, wow, maybe. And it turned out that they knew of each other. So already there was a small world between our camp and Michael's direction on this record. Stephen Sukari came in to play. Molly Miller came in to play some sort of very vocally expressive guitar on top. We have the Grooveline horns from Austin, Texas. Carlos, Fernie, and Rollo. Who else? Asher and
Well,
Cheekies.
Yeah, Asher and Cheekies.
Yeah,
who
so we
played
ended
in
up
the
with
band
two
Devin.
Yes.
two rhythm sections, 2 drum and bass, half and half. And that was first was it a scheduling thing? I don't remember why we ended up with both, but
Yeah.
I'm glad we did,
Yeah.
because for me it expanded the community really fast.
Definitely.
And we ended up with just this big group with a lot of energy, a lot of love, a lot of ideas. Did I leave anybody out? Raining Jane
Raining
is all
Jane,
over the
yeah.
track. I write a
Amazing
lot of
vocals.
songs with Raining Jane, so they stepped in as on BVs. Mona did a little bit of percussion. Mona's herself a great percussionist. I also added members of the Mesa View Baptist Church, who I'm friends with down here in San Diego. They sang on record on my 3rd album since then. So we had them come in and do some beautiful vocals all over this record as well.
Nice.
There's a great video for Look for the Good. Look for the Good in Every Home on YouTube or Insta television. And you'll see the whole band who contributed. It's a really sweet video.
Yeah, really, really cool, man. I mean, and besides the musicians that are the blueprint for this album, you had some really cool guests. You had the reggae queen herself, Sister Carol. So she's on the track "Timeout," right? "Timeout."
Yes.
And in listening to the whole album, I mean, that song was a perfect fit for her. So how did that come about? Was that you, Michael? Was that you, Jason?
We went through a couple of different options, and Michael had given me some Sister Carol early on in our relationship. He's like, check this lady out. And I really resonated with her. I think it's Herbal Cure or Natural Cure or Herbal Healing. She has a whole record. Every song is about herb, and she's dropping the herbal wisdom. And that's what I really was hoping for on the track, was basically an authority on herb and potentially a feminine voice. And so Michael went to Sister Carol, who he'd worked with in the past, to see if she'd be down. And she was
Nice.
down.
She was down.
Yeah, man.
And I just wanted to big up Sister Carol because she is a foundational New York reggae artist. Like she was born in Jamaica, grew up in Jamaica, but she came to New York as a teenager, and she's so important to the New York reggae scene. And actually to my history as a reggae producer, she was like one of the first big artists I ever produced. And she's remained a friend ever since. And she's just a really great person, and she is literally a teacher. Like while she was doing her reggae career, she was a New York City public school teacher as well, part of the time. Really, really great fit and a great person. And that's one of the great things about this project. That we keep on talking about it, but it's true. It's like all the people involved are just good people,
Totally.
And it feels good to be able to do that. You don't always meet good people in the world or in music, but on this project, everyone is someone that I'd love to hang out with, discuss important things, be silly with, whatever, just be friends with. It's really great vibes.
That's one of the beautiful parts about putting together a concept record, or just doing something different that's out of the norm for your usual thing, because you get to select people not just based on their musical skills, but just on the vibe. Like, what's it going to be like in the studio? Like, what is a potential tour going to be like with this person? So that's cool that you guys succeeded in that and vibing with everybody.
Good
And
vibes.
Sister Carol's going to be on the tour, right? Is that she's going to be on the whole tour?
Ooh.
So's
Yeah,
Tiffany Haddish. We have to mention another collaboration on the album. Is actress, comedian, author Miss Tiffany Haddish. Was that kind of the same route? Have you guys worked with Tiffany before?
I had not worked with Tiffany, but a friend of mine works with Tiffany quite regularly and invited me to a show. And I was already a big Tuka and Birdie fan. I was very familiar with Tiffany and her voice and her style. So when I saw her show, I thought, yeah, I'm just going to ask her. So I had a chance to go backstage, and I just asked her, I was like, do you rap by any chance? And she's like, yeah. And it was so fast. She is such a yes. Threw herself into it. Came to the studio about 3 days later, and we worked it out over probably a 3-hour session of just her in the booth throwing it at us in a variety of ways.
And
Wow.
it was such a fun session too. You know, it's like it's some of the best things seem almost spontaneous. That like on a Tuesday we had the idea, can we get Tiffany Haddish on the song? And on Thursday we were in the studio recording
Nice.
her, and then
Yeah.
Wow.
boom, we were done. It was so cool.
It was
Crazy.
great. So big props to her and her team for making it easy for us and meeting us, and because she's a very busy gal. She came out with like 7 television shows and 2 films like the
Jeez.
next week.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Michael, you mentioned earlier, Jason's been on Atlantic Records for 5 albums, right, Jason? If I'm
I
not
did
mistaken.
6. Oh yeah,
Okay.
5. Yeah, because the first
On
one was
Atlantic.
Electra.
Electra.
Right.
Electra. So
Yeah.
you became like a free agent after that 5th one, and right before this album, right? So what was your decision to go with BMG for this one?
Well, we had already made the record, and we had our show, and we were kind of sitting on this idea, like, wow. The one thought was, let's just put it out independently, or I'll just sell it at my merch table at live shows. But I realized this stuff is so good. It surprised us all. You could dance to every song, such a positive vibe, and felt like what the world needed in 2020. We knew it would be an election year. We knew that people would be engaged. We need some positive music to sort of be the soundtrack to that optimism. And I looked at a bunch of independent record companies, and I only looked at independents because I wanted to be able to own the master down the road. And BMG happens to be a global company who is also an independent record company, who will give you your masters back after a short period of time. And,
Nice.
and when we're working together as well, it's still a generous share that we have, and a fun collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Their philosophy is freedom in entrepreneurship. So they just want to empower artists to go be themselves. And that was fun for us because we'd already made the record, and they heard it and thought, wow, this is beautiful. We just want to be a part of whatever you guys are up to. So their enthusiasm and their global reach was a huge, it was a nice offer.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to ask you guys about some of the songs on this record. So maybe I could just like throw out some of these song titles and see what you guys have to say about them. I wanted to start with this one. Start with Jason, and then Michael, you go answer after him. The tune "Hearing Double." That one to me, like, for obvious reasons, just start with that one because that must have been like a super fun song to write and sing. I mean, maybe you could explain to people like what's going on with that song.
I wrote Hearing Double in a hotel room in Australia, actually, because I was on a tour over there, and I was probably in Perth. And, when you get that far to the edge of the planet and you have a day off, it just felt better to me to sit and write a song. And I cannot remember what compelled me to want to try to sing both words every time. I have no clue. But it was a lazy day,
Nice.
and I thought, I'm going to make something of myself. So I wrote this Hearing Double tune and thought that was cute, and I put it aside. And so when Michael and I were looking through songs and song ideas, I just started sending them all these goofy little song ideas, and Hearing Double was one of them. And my original dream was that this album would be very generous in its echoes and its dubs and its delays. And I thought Hearing Double is almost already poised for that. So that was a fun one to find a home for, because I don't know what I was planning on doing with it other than entertain myself.
Yes. And Hearing Double is also going to be the title of our forthcoming dub album.
Yes.
I see
Dirty.
what you did there.
I
The
like
dub
it. I
version.
like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's heavy.
Yeah, I did a dub mix of the entire album, old school style, all
Yeah.
analog, outdoor
Nice.
gear, and Hearing Double had to be the title. Unless we
Right.
change our minds,
Right.
Claudia says, "Hearing Double hurt my brain the first time I heard it." Yeah, that's a dope tune.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine too.
Okay, this time we'll go in reverse order. Michael, you start with this one. Wise Woman.
Oh, that's a great tune, and it actually has an interesting story because Jason sent me a song called Wise Woman, but very different lyrics and certainly very different vibe. It was minor key. And that was one of the first songs he even sent me. And I was coming up with some ideas for it, but then Jace was like, you know what? Hold off on that because I just don't feel like I'm in the right place with it right now. And so that actually wound up being maybe, hey, one of the last songs that we wrote an arrangement for. He brought it back. He's like, I think I came up with something new for it. And it totally worked. It was major. And what I did, if I'm going to play a little bass, I hope no one minds.
Hit it.
I was thinking somehow it came to me. I was thinking like the guitar line from The Temptations, "My Girl." You know, like I was thinking, "Why, woman, my girl," and then I just thought, oh, let me fuck it up a little and make it. So I was directly inspired by a song that I've loved, my whole life that so many people know. And I tried to put a lot of those kind of moments in the album, inspirations from a lot of like classic reggae songs that are just like in my brain, in my heart, in my blood now. So that was an example of taking a non-reggae song, but a very influential song and helping create something new for our album.
Nice.
Yeah. That was a fun one because it was a complete rewrite from the original. The only thing I kept was, "She's a wise woman." That was the only thing I kept was those words.
So
but
who
that's what it takes.
Is that a song about someone in specifically?
Yeah, I know. I mean, every woman in my community is a wise woman, and we refer to them as wise women, and they refer to themselves as wise women, etc. It's an actual like capitalized proper name around here.
Nice.
And we have a garden right outside the studio we call the Wise Woman Garden because all the women around here and all of their practices have been going into this garden and coming out of the garden. So I was in the garden, and one of the wise... I'm not going to tell you the whole story. Either way, when a song comes, it just starts happening in your head. She's a real wise woman with so much love to give. It just starts singing in my head, and so I stop what I'm doing. I'm at the breakfast table at this point, and I basically just sit and I start writing it out. But it's pretty real time. I don't know if I can describe it that way, but anyway, it's about the wise women in our lives and what they do, as well as the greatest intelligence of them all, Mother Earth. So I tried to weave it in to both.
Big up Mother Earth.
Big up Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Diane Merchant has a question, which is simply, is Jason going to sing? So do you want to maybe at this time sing us a song?
Jason going to sing? Absolutely. I would love to.
Nice.
Is Jason ever not going to sing?
There you go.
Look for the good in everything. Does it sound all right?
Yeah.
Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. People done gone crazy. People done gone mad. People done forgot the superpowers we all have. We were born to love, not hate. We can decide our fate and look for the good in everyone and celebrate all our mistakes if there's a silver lining. You still have to find it, find it, find it. Look for the good in everything. I try to look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Everyone needs sunshine. Everyone needs rain. Everyone is carrying around some kind of pain. I see who you are. You're just like me. I see you're searching for a purpose, guided by a dream. I see who you are, I'm just like you. And I get lost sometimes and I forget what I came here to do. I keep on trying. When it gets frightening, I look for the good in everything. I try to look for the people who will set my soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. I look for the good. I look for the good. Everyone gets mad sometimes, and maybe they should. Look for the good. I look for the good. Yeah, look out for all the heroes in your neighborhood. I look for the good. I look for the good. You know life sure would be sweeter if everybody would. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set my soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone. Something like that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, there's a siren. Gee whiz.
Yes.
I couldn't resist.
Oh man.
I actually
Jason's-
prefer to play that song on the bass. I really do. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much
So let me,
melody and
send
rhythm
my
and
bass over to you. No.
everything on that track for me is about the bass line. So either way, and that song came as a track from Michael as an instrumental. It sounded very, very similar to the just the present day chorus of what's there.
Mhm.
And that bass line had so much melody written into it that the first thing I sang became the chorus and just built out from there. And he titled it "Look for the Good." Michael came up with that
Right.
title and sent the instrumental track.
I mean, that's one of those songs where you don't have to force it. The hook is great. The song is great. The changes are great. As a musician, I find myself constantly, dissecting tunes and going, okay, cool. Well, the chorus was great. It was catchy. And then the verse can kind of get lost there, whatever. But everything about that tune is beautiful. It lends itself to, it's a great song, man. So it's a perfect song to lead off the album. And I can't wait to hear it done live with the full band. I mean,
You will.
beyond that. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I've
A lot more
been
solos
As
live,
long as
too.
you have a good monitor mix, you'll hear it. Clear.
oh geez. I mean, I really have been bumping the album a lot since it came out, even more so than when the first mixes came out for the band to hear. And I'm listening back and I'm listening to songs like Take the Music and man, the bridge on Good Old Days. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what we're talking about, please go get the new album. Look for the good Jason Mraz. Go check it out. But on those two tunes in particular, I get like a Stevie Wonder influence because Stevie's like my number one. As much as I'm a reggae nerd, when people ask me who's your number one, I'm like Stevie Wonder. So I may be way off, but Michael, Jason, is Stevie, an inspiration, influence for you guys?
Absolutely. And we invited him to be a part of this.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
But,
it was bad timing. He had some health issues, and he wasn't doing anything, which of course we understood. But when I wrote the arrangement for Take the Music, I very purposely was like making it as Stevie as possible because I love Stevie too. I feel the same way as you, Roger. So I thought like, what would Stevie do with this vibe? Like, how would he master blaster it up? Which is where all the horns came from and the synth bass and everything. So 100% Stevie Wonder in the house.
Nice. Jason, you're a Stevie fan as well?
Absolutely. Who's not a Stevie Wonder fan?
You're right. You're very right. Well, I get all like, okay, everyone knows Stevie Wonder, but I'm like, are you a Stevie Wonder fan though? Do you know
Oh,
this and that?
okay.
Like I said, I adore the man, and that would have been crazy to get him on that album. Jeez, just to see him
Yeah.
live.
Well, the future is wide open. Maybe he'll
Right,
be
right.
on the next album, or
There
he'll
you
come
go.
do a show with us. You don't know.
We have a comment here from Shay Walker. She says, "I'd love to hear more about the song My Kind, my personal favorite on the album." So maybe, Jason, you want to start with that one?
Yes. My Kind was an idea I banged out on the Whirly. I don't even remember when, before I met Goldwasser, but it had always been sitting in my voice memos. I had a friend say there's only one kind, one human kind, and I loved that. And for a songwriter, you're always looking for those little moments when words shift the way you think and shift your perspective on life and the way you view things. So I banged that out on the Whirly, quite a bit of it. And then when we started to do this project, and I realized, wow, My Kind would really have a nice bounce on this record. I brought in Chaska Potter from Raining Jane, and we just went at a bunch of different ideas to bring it to life. And I love that writing with a female co-writer, because she's going to bring into it a much needed perspective that I don't have, right? So she's going to bring in that wisdom from the matriarchy. That's how My Kind was born, just sort of from that side of things.
Do you feel that? Do you kind of know instantly when you're writing with someone else, like, oh, this is gonna work, or geez, I should have kept my mouth shut? Like,
Yeah. I mean, some of it is in, am I comfortable with saying no to this person and still want to hang out with them, or
That's important.
right? Like, I've been in plenty of situations where I'm writing, and the no, every time we disagree on an idea, it kind of stops the energy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But that shouldn't be a deal. If that's a deal breaker in the songwriting process, then that's a problem. So
of course, yeah.
through the years, I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of great people that I can hang in the room with, and we can throw ideas. And if we both say no, we still have it in our hearts to go, what about this, or what about that? And so yeah, it's important to collaborate with somebody who helps you move the ball down the field rather than
Totally.
kind of drive you a certain way, because ultimately you want what's best for the song. You want the song to have its own momentum, not necessarily have to be driven by the author or driven by the performer. Does that make sense?
Totally. How often did you tell Michael Goldwasser no? I'm joking. I mean,
Luckily, most of our collaboration was by email, so
okay, cool. So
by the time we met,
easy to
we've
say
gotten
no.
all of that out.
He just didn't
Right.
reply to those. He
You
just
just
didn't
didn't
respond to
reply.
those emails.
Right.
It just replied in emojis, like
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
just-
all right, well,
Actually, you reminded me I should respond to some of those emails from February 2019.
oh geez,
Yeah, no, you know what? Like, look, I think one of the reasons why Jason and I are able to work well together is because we both have open minds and open hearts, and it's like we just want to find the right solution. It doesn't have to be my solution or his solution. We just
Right.
want to be true to the music. But I want to say one more thing about My Kind, if I may, which is that for those of you who have heard it, and if you haven't heard it, please check it out. It's got a ska part to it and a reggae part to it. And in making this album, I really did feel it was important to incorporate different styles of Jamaican music into it. Not just like I guess a pop artist could make a reggae album that's basically every song is one drop or something like that, and that's probably happened. But I thought it'd be really musically better, but also to open people's minds to have some ska in there, rock steady, dub, different vibes. Because to me, you guys call yourselves reggae nerds. I'm also perhaps a bit of a
you
reggae
are,
nerd.
yeah, for sure.
And a music nerd. I mean, I love
Right.
music, and it means something so much to me. And I think people not need to. I would like people to learn the history of this music. Reggae is not, to me, it's not like, okay, yeah, it's Bob Marley, and we listen when we go to the Caribbean on a vacation. This is like
Right.
it's like any other genre of music. It should be taken seriously, and there's good reggae, there's bad reggae. Everyone's going to have different ideas. Um, but I'm hoping that some Jason Mraz fans who don't really know reggae will listen to this album and be like, and kind of get it. Like, wow, there's a very wide spectrum of what is Jamaican music. And we, Jason and I have and you guys as well, have the utmost respect for it. And it is Jamaican music. We're not trying to like co-opt something and take it and make this new thing. This is our tribute to music that we love. And I'm hoping that all the listeners and fans are going to explore reggae a little more, explore Jamaican music a little more, and understand where it comes from. I think one of the problems, not to get on the political track right now, but a little, is that one of the problems in the United States right now is people not understanding history, and I want people to understand the musical history. So.
Definitely. And also vice versa, right? Because you have these big groups of reggae fans. So me and Devin, the term Cali Roots reggae is an actual thing. I don't know how many years, but it's just been blowing up. What'd you say, Devin, over the past 10, 15 years? I mean, California reggae is a thing, and it's huge. There's a lot of festivals like the One Love Fest or California Roots Festival up north. And so, yes, hopefully it works both ways. There's a lot of reggae fans that may think, okay, Jason Mraz plays this kind of music, but after this album, understanding, okay, cool, it surpasses the genre. Like, these are just good songs. My dad's a musician as well, and the one thing he told me is like, a good song is a good song. It could be done in a reggae, vibe. It could be done in whatever other vibe, So hopefully there's a lot of, and I've already seen it. I mean, just my peers alone are they're curious, like, oh, what's up with that new album? And check it out, and they're like, dang, that's legit stuff. And so. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of reggae fans at your shows, Jason.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You'll smell it. You'll smell the aura of herb and everything. So, it'll be good. We have more questions, Devin, from the fans?
I mean, they're just a lot of people are asking about what are some of your favorite songs from the album. I feel like you guys have been kind of organically saying this. Sorry, I live on Venice Boulevard, and police are like nonstop right now, so that's what you're hearing in the background. But do you guys, do you have some like favorite songs that we haven't mentioned yet? Because I keep seeing this question. It's Jason.
My surprise favorite on the record was DJ FMAM Jason. I thought, because we recorded 14 songs, appreciate that. We recorded 14, and I knew, well, maybe 12, maybe 11, maybe 10. I don't know, because I only want there to be great songs. I don't want, any fast forwards. And so I didn't think DJ FMAM Jason was going to come together, because it's this concept song about that acronym, DJ FMAM Jason. I'm like, well, it's kind of out there. And it was the one track too. How do you describe this track, Michael? Because it's a little different than the other tracks.
Well, yeah. Look, it started out as a straight up R&B track that I wrote many years ago, and I never even thought of doing a reggae reinterpretation of it until, I don't know, I just heard, just from working with Jason and knowing his singing capabilities, I just thought, wow, he could do something really cool over these changes. It's like, major seventh, minor seventh, diminished seventh chords. And of course, Jason has used a lot of cool chords in many of his songs over the years, but I thought it could bring out some cool soul vibes in his vocals. So I relicked the track as a reggae thing and sent it to him, and he chopped it up in a really cool way. He took what I had thought was in my version of the song was the bridge, and he made that into the chorus, and the chorus now became the verses, and it totally worked. And it was a little bit of a struggle. Jason was trying to figure out how he felt about it, and the lyrics were changing here and there. But the band really got it. Like, I think we all really enjoyed playing it,
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that song too. And I mean, the lyrics are just so clever,
Yeah. So So prior to even knowing that Michael's track, I knew I wanted to create a song for that acronym DJFMAMJJASON, because it's the calendar months of the year from December to November. December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Boom.
Nice.
And it's an
That's
acronym
dope.
that's totally usable. So I thought,
Right.
I was plagued for about 6 months as I tried to figure out how to best turn this thing into a song. So I didn't know that was going to make it on the record, but I'm glad it did. And to answer your question, that one's my favorite song.
Nice.
Nice. Michael, you have a favorite?
Wow, that's like asking a parent to say who's your favorite child.
Yeah,
Mm.
but there is a
No.
correct answer to
but-
who your favorite
yeah,
child is.
yeah,
Parents
exactly.
don't like to admit that, but there is a correct answer.
Anyway, I'm gonna say it changes all the time. I'm gonna say maybe Good Old Days, because I just love, like, as soon as Jason sent me his demo of it, I heard like an Alton Ellis vibe, and so that's where I went with the arrangement, and I just love the feel. And Asher actually said something really cool. And Asher's Jamaican, and he said that like he could picture like, old Jamaican ladies wanting to get up and dance when this song comes on.
He says that about everything, though.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
all right then.
That's a joke.
So mission accomplished there. But I don't know. I just really love the vibes, and I know I've been sending the album out to reggae DJs, radio DJs, and a lot of them have said, "Wow, Good Old Days. That's some real shit," That, and they also really love Time Out, and I mean, there's all different kinds of reggae on the album, but I'm not surprised that those two tunes would capture the ears of people, DJs who are used to only playing, Jamaican reggae artists. So,
Right.
very cool.
And you nailed it, man. You listen to the whole album, and there's no two songs that sound alike. That's the problem, I think, with reggae music. And you got a modern artist, and Devin can agree. We've had this conversation before, where you put it on, and it's like the first four songs just sound the same. They kind of just all mesh together in this one upbeat groove,
You're saying when when a modern like non-reggae artist tries to do a reggae album?
Right. And it's
Yeah.
just very, I mean, you can use the word generic, whatever the case is, but every song on this album has its own identity. And that's a challenge in itself. And so bravo to that. And it wasn't forced either. Like everything, it's a journey, it's a story. So
Yeah.
did you guys, who came up with the actual order, like the track listing order and all that?
We'd had it pretty close in mixing, I think, and then
Okay.
Yeah.
maybe in mastering, flipped around one or two songs real quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that really helped us is we knew we wanted to start with "Look for the Good." That's the mission statement of
That's
the whole
right.
project. And then the very
End
end
with
of,
Gratitude.
of the song "Gratitude" ends with the words "Look for the Good." So how could that not be the last song on the album?
Right.
So that kind of made it easy. And then we figured it out. We put them in order and listen to it, and then get back and decide. But now I can't really imagine it in a different
Any
order.
other
So,
way, yeah.
yeah.
It feels great. And, it depends on if it was starting a cappella or not, or starting with a fill. And,
Right.
through all that deductive reasoning, you end up with almost very few options. And I love starting side B with Take the Music. And you kind of go off on, like, side A is a little more like living in the now. And side B, even though Good Old Days is in there, but the whole point of that song was like just celebrating the fact that we're playing music right now, which is a good thing. Side B was a little more conceptual, like let's take a time out and let's talk about the sound and mysticism of music, and let's learn about the planets with DJ FMAMJ Jason. Let's hear double, let's hear some of that. So side B, 6 through 12, is a little more just conceptual, having fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one other thing that was important to me as a music nerd was that the first and last song on the album both have an electric piano solo. Rhodes and
Wow.
Wurlitzer. And to me, that just, I don't know, that's the kind of thing I would notice listening to an album,
Yeah.
So it's like the symmetry or the book ending, whatever you want to think of it, just makes a lot of sense to me.
And
That's
I'm just going to say this one more thing. Because I made this record without a record label, there was no committee. There was no one checking in on us and asking for mixes to see what we were doing.
Right.
I actually asked Michael, I said, can we just put a Rhodes solo in every track? Because I
Oh,
now
man.
have that freedom. I want these
Yeah.
songs to be 6-7 minutes long. I don't
Yeah.
want to think about anything other than musicianship.
I think your exact quote was, "Can we put a 3-minute Rhodes solo in everything?"
Beautiful. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're gonna do that, Daniel is the man. Because gee whiz, it was so funny. I was talking to Daniel, and it's like me and him look at each other like, man, I've never, like, I wasn't hip to you. He's like, I wasn't hip to you, and it's like, oh, I've been in this reggae thing. This is so funny. And Daniel, before the whole quarantine thing happened, he came over the pad in the studio, and we hit it off instantly. So Daniel is he's just an amazing talent.
You know, he, right now, Roger, I'm reminded that like maybe a lot of people watching don't realize that you were on this record.
That was my twin
And
brother. Twin brother.
yeah,
This is Robert Reeves right here. Yeah,
no, it
man.
is.
Yeah. Play keys, the organ on it, and I know I didn't know Jason before this, and Michael reached out to me, and the rest is history, man. It was really cool. We were on that last tour, Devin, last summer, and that's when I got to marinate with the tunes. And dang, man, time flies.
I mean,
Now the album's out.
I will say not to blow Roger up, but you know, Roger and I play in another band, the Long Beach Dub All Stars, together, and we were on tour when he was getting a lot of the demos for this record, and I see him in the bus like with his headphones on, and he was just like, I'd be like, what are you doing? He's like, oh man, there's this project that I might be part of, and like it's so good, and he was just stoked on it the whole time. So like right from the beginning, Roger was just like, man, they have this cool idea and the songs are dope. So
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool, man.
I am
Yeah.
gonna blow Roger up because
Oh, no more blowing up.
No, I'm just saying like you did an amazing job, and everything, like I never had to think like, is it gonna work? Like you knew instinctually where to put all the little candy. You know, like you kept the bubble nice, and you know sometimes we would discuss what kind of bubble for each song, but
Right.
you instinctively knew what to do, and you put in all these little fills that I tried to feature in the mix. You know, they pop out, and it's like, you know, just this nice thing that maybe people won't notice so much, but to me, it's beautiful. You know, and you did a great job, and your vibes too. So
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
pleasure to be a part of. You know, when the music's so good like that, it's easy. Everything comes into place, and
I still
that's the energy.
remember, Roger. I remember the first time I met you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a very embarrassing story. No. You Agrolites were opening for Easy Star All Stars.
Yeah, man.
And we had this show in New York. I'm trying to remember what maybe it was the Bowery Ballroom or something. I can't
Irving
remember.
Plaza?
Irving Plaza. It was Irving
Might have been
Plaza.
it, yeah.
And I just remember meeting you and then seeing you guys play, and I was like, man, that guy could play. You know.
Right on.
So,
Yeah, that was a
so-
fun tour, man. The Easy
Yeah.
Star All Stars, man, that was super fun. And those cats, geez, Elena on keyboards, murder. Any more questions from the audience before we go into the rapid fire?
I think let's do rapid fire.
I'm pretty excited about rapid
Wait,
fire.
but
This is
before
really-
we do rapid fire, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, man.
If people are thinking of donating money to this
Yes.
podcast, whatever, live stream, like there's an organization called the Alpha Institute, which raises money for the Alpha Boys School in Jamaica, which I have a relationship with, and I'm selling a bunch of gear on Reverb.com, and a portion of the proceeds are going to Alpha Institute because it's a really important institution in reggae history, because a bunch of the guys from the Scatolites went there. Johnny Osborne went there. A bunch of other important reggae artists and musicians went there who may not have been able to become what they became musically without having this education and support of this school. You know, so I think
Totally.
you know, I want us to give to as many different social justice initiatives and organizations and charities to help people. But this one is specifically, I think, is really important for reggae fans and non-reggae fans to think about. You know, like how can we nurture the next generation or the next generations of people who have given us this music, who have given us reggae music. You know, so that's Alpha Institute, Alpha Boys School. So give if you can.
Yeah, people can go to rootfire.net/TV, and the PayPal link is there, or you can Venmo to Rootfire, and proceeds will be going to the Alpha Boys School in Jamaica, which is a beautiful thing.
Definitely. I think I'm more excited about this than I should be. But we started, Devin, doing this rapid fire segment, right? Reed from Rootfire suggested it, and it's been pretty fun. So pretty simple rules. I'm going to ask you guys each a question. I will say your guys' name. I will say, Jason or Michael, and you just answer as quick as you can. They're going to be short answers. This is the whole point of this. Is just off the cuff, get some quick answers. So
I'm a
we
deep
will
thinker,
start.
man. It takes me a long time.
I know, right? Ooh. We're going to start with you, Jason. There you go. Okay. See, there you go.
Make it right.
And then we're going to go back and forth. So then, yes. So
Okay.
Jason,
Fermented
here we go.
goods.
Here we go. Tabasco or Tapatio?
Oh, Tapatio.
Michael, Tabasco or Tapatio?
Tabasco.
Michael, whiskey or tequila?
I don't drink, but I'll just say tequila.
Oh, Jason, whiskey or tequila?
Cannabis.
I
Yes.
like it. Jason, favorite item on the rider?
Socks.
Michael,
And I-
favorite item on the rider.
I won't explain it.
Avocados.
Ah, there you go. Michael, favorite 80s movie.
Back to the Future.
Jason?
Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, that's a good one, man. That's
Oh,
a good
no,
one. That's a good
a
one.
nasty
Hold
movie.
that.
Don't watch it. I don't want to be held accountable for that.
It's freaky when you're a kid.
It's
Seeing the
so
it's-
weird.
That's a total like movie you would see when you're a kid in the
It
Music
definitely
Plus or
doesn't
Warehouse.
hold up today, I'm sure.
Jason, yerba mate, Red Bull, or water?
Oh, mate all
Yeah.
day.
Okay.
Mate latte.
Michael,
I
yerba
gotta
mate.
say water.
Oh, okay. I like
Although
this.
I do like yerba mate.
Water is
Mhm.
life. Water is life.
There you go. Michael, what's your biggest pet peeve?
People who are angry and can't see the good.
I like that. Jason, pet peeve?
Mm. I don't know. Do I have a bed? Yes.
You get a freebie card. I mean, there's a buzzer. You can use the freebie card on that. You use a pass.
He looks for the good in everyone's.
Yeah,
I
that's what I'm
look
saying.
for the good in
It was
everything.
a loaded
totally.
question, wasn't
Yeah,
it? It was a loaded
exactly.
question.
See?
Sorry about that.
Trying to get me to say something
That's
negative.
something negative. Pet peeve. Yeah.
Roger, yeah, always doing that.
I'm always doing this. Jason, name one of your heroes.
Mr. Rogers,
Ooh,
Fred.
that's good.
That is good. Michael, one of your heroes.
Thelonious Monk.
Nice. Michael, what's one of your favorite places to visit in the world?
Oh, Israel. That's my home. I get there every chance I can.
Nice. Jason,
The
favorite
Maranch.
place?
The
the
Maranch.
Maranch.
I realize we're all from outer space and we're here for a limited time, so I'm really blessed that I get to be here in San Diego.
I love it. I love it. And finally, Jason, what's your favorite cereal?
Love Crunch. Are you
Okay.
down with the Love Crunch?
The Love Crunch. I don't think I've had the Love
I
Crunch.
don't know.
Highly
Love Crunch.
recommend the Love Crunch. I want that to be a band name, but it's probably already taken because it's a delicious breakfast cereal.
I got to try that. Michael, your favorite cereal?
Okay, I actually don't eat cereal, and I don't drink alcohol. But I'm gonna say grape nuts because it's the funniest thing to me because there's no grapes and there's no nuts.
You're
That
right.
is Molly Miller's favorite cereal.
Oh,
I
and
know
she's my
this
favorite
because
guitarist,
we
so it all works
shared a
out.
rider. Yeah.
All right.
Dang.
There you go.
That was my dad. My dad loved grape nuts, and the same. I was like, as a kid, I'm like, Dad, I can think of at least two things wrong with the name of this cereal,
Yeah.
but he loved it.
Right.
Um,
Is this cat food or kitty litter? What is this?
Yeah, right. You have to put sugar on it. Like you can't eat it without sugar.
I used to like grape nuts when I was a cereal eater. I did not put sugar on it.
Oh wow. Well, you're a better man than I. I do want to backtrack just a little bit. You know, I wanted to stick to the rules of the rapid fire question, but Jason mentioned socks, and it seemed like he was going to go into something there, and I really would like to know.
That was the end of rapid fire, so go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize. Yeah. We asked for socks on the rider because then at the end of the tour, you end up with a big box of socks, and we give those to our local food bank / shelter that we have here in Oceanside. Because that's the number one thing that every shelter asks for. Like, we need socks. We need clean socks. So
Right.
Yep.
that's on our rider.
That's true.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
freaking cool.
Yeah. I
Well,
love when
man-
artists get creative with their writer like that. You know, like the way John Legend, I'm sure everyone knows that story, how he had everyone change all the lighting in every venue he would go to make it more environmentally friendly and all that stuff. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're basically renting the venue for the day, and the budget's all designed for you. So how do you want to spend it? How do you
Right.
want that venue to look and operate that day? That's a cool thing about the rider.
Nice, man. Well, I mean, that ended the rapid fire segment, and that pretty much ends our segment with these guys. Do you guys have anything that you want to talk about before we let you guys go? Anything? We'll start with you, Jason.
Okay, well, let's talk about the record. It is available. We're going to start shipping the actual vinyl and CD in early July. I think our ship date is July 8th, so probably by the 10th you could start to receive them. Those are at jasonmraz.com/store, maybe, web store. I don't know where it is, but jasonmraz.com definitely has them. And then brick and mortar stores like Amazon and Barnes & Noble are going to have them all in late August. So you
Nice.
can also wait and get them at a record store in late August when they get delivered. But we have some boxes, so we're going to start shipping them next week-ish. But yes, it is going to come out on CD as well as vinyl, but it's out everywhere else. And till the end of time, it's going to benefit Black Lives Matter and the movement for Black Lives and the advancement of equality.
Beautiful.
So
That's awesome, man.
that's a cool thing. And now we're going to get ready to make a new album and expand the catalog so that when we finally take the show on the road, it's a legit danceable reggae show from start to finish. So look forward to getting back on the road soon. With you,
Dang,
Roger.
man. Yeah, man. I mean, I can't wait. I'm right there. I can't wait to hear the new material too, and that whole thing that comes with it, man. And that's awesome. Michael, anything you'd like to tell our viewers out there?
Well, like I said, support Alpha Boys School, support any cause that you believe in. And I just opened a Easy Star Records Reverb store where some of the proceeds are going to Alpha Boys School. So you could look for that if you want to get any Easy Star gear that's been played on a lot of our records and on Jason's records. And I just want to thank all the fans, the Easy Star fans, all the Easy Star All Stars fans who supported for many years, and all the Jason's fans who I know so many of them by name now because they're so vocally supportive.
That's awesome.
But really just great people. And I think when you make positive music, you're going to attract positive people. So it's easy. But thank you.
Definitely, man.
And I want to thank you guys. Devin, Roger, thanks for
thank you guys for being on the show.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
really appreciate it, you guys.
Love
the record. Yes, we gotta go out with that. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon.
We'll see you guys.
All right,
peace out.
Peace.
Dang, Devin.
Yeah,
they're super cool, right? Jason and Michael are
They're great. They're great people.
They're awesome.
I always love when we have. I've. Michael and I have known each other for a little while. Never got to hang too much, but we've always had a cool vibe. And then that's my first time meeting Jason, and what a cool group.
Legit cats, man. Legit cats for sure. So I see that we're not going to have a show on July 4th.
Yeah, we're not doing July 4th.
What's up with that?
It's just July 4th happens to be on a Saturday, and I haven't got to see my parents very much during the whole COVID situation.
Right.
And they want to have a little thing over at their house. And
it's awesome.
My wife and I have been quarantining ourselves very, very. We've been doing a pretty good job of it these last few weeks.
Awesome.
My brother has as well, and my parents have been. So we're gonna all get together there. So we're gonna take a break next week, and then come back on July 11th with our good friends Fortunate Youth, and we're gonna do something we've never done before, which is have 3 people on at once. So these squares are gonna get smaller, and we're gonna have to do sound check at like noon that day.
Yeah, Brady Bunch status on that day, right?
Yeah, but we got Fortunate Youth coming up July 11th. We're stoked on that because Fortunate Youth is not only one of the, they're one of the great bands in the American rock reggae scene, whatever you want to call it, Cali Roots scene. And, so just on that musical level, love those guys. And then on a personal level, I've been friends with a lot of guys in that band for a long, long time. One of the first Expanders tours was with Fortunate Youth. And so, they're local. They're here just down the road from me in Hermosa Beach. And so, man, the police are out today. You can hear
Telling you, man, they're gonna go get Fortunate Youth. I hope that Fortunate Youth.
They heard.
They
heard Fortunate Youth song. Yeah. So everyone, tune in July 11th. We want to thank everyone. While we still got some of you that maybe haven't seen this show before.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in. And we do this every Saturday. Roger and I love reggae music, and we love having guests on from all over the reggae spectrum. You know what I mean? So today we were fortunate enough to have Michael and Jason on. Next time it's going to be Fortunate Youth, and then the time after that it might be an old school Jamaican artist, might be a modern Jamaican artist. So we really go all over the global reggae scene.
And you know what? If you guys are new, anybody out there, this is your first time hearing of the Reggae PodClash, I please encourage you to go to rootfire.net/TV. You'll find all of our shows are archived. So I mean, we've had everyone from reggae great Anthony B to the specials out of the two-tone era, Mr. Linville Golding, and Clinton Farron, legendary Jamaican cat, Clinton Farron, as well as sprinkled in, the modern California roots scene, like Devin said. So
Kyle from Slightly Stupid.
We're really all over the board, and it's done on purpose. It's we're trying to marry, like me and Devin have our foot in all kinds of different scenes, from the old school stuff to the new school stuff. And we're just trying to, introduce different eras of reggae to different bands you may not have heard of. So if you love reggae music, please, I encourage you to go check out our website.
And exciting news. I think this is the first week that we can officially announce that we have the audio up as a podcast. You can go wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, all the podcast places. You can subscribe to this Reggae PodClash. Just type in the Reggae PodClash, hit subscribe. Please leave us a review and a rating, because that really helps with the visibility. Unless you don't like us, don't leave a review.
Yeah.
And but please go subscribe to that. We have the first 7 episodes uploaded now, and this was the 10th episode, by the way. So happy 10, Roger.
Happy 10, man. This is such a cool episode for it to be the 10th.
It's cool that we're gonna take a break. It's like we did 10, gonna take a break next week, and then come back July 11th.
It's all happening like
do 10 more
organically.
Then, yeah, we should take a break every 10.
Take a break every 10, yeah. New season, new intro, new characters. Will I be here? I don't know.
Right. New genres.
Cliffhangers, baby.
Yeah.
So usually this is around where we talk about what we got coming up. For myself, I cannot promote this album enough, not because it's a thing to do, but because I really, really do wholeheartedly back this album. Look for the Good by Mr. Jason Mraz. It's a great album with a great message. Music is medicine, and this is such a positive message that Jason writes about, and so we all need that right now. Devin, are you doing your Tuesday thing this Tuesday?
Yep, every Tuesday I do songbook sessions where I sit down and play guitar. I was in a band for many years called the Expanders. The Expanders are still going strong. I just don't play with them anymore. But I'll play Expanders tunes, new songs I've been writing. I've got a record coming out that Roger's producing and engineering, and so I'll be playing songs from that. Old school Jamaican tunes, and all the proceeds for the last 2 weeks and for the foreseeable future are going to be going to support the Crenshaw Dairy Market here in Los Angeles, which gets free art supplies into the hands of people in the Watts and South Central Los Angeles communities, as well as providing a space for people to do transformative healing art. It's a beautiful organization, and so, if you want to tune in, listen to some music, and make some donations, it all goes to a great cause. If you want to make a donation today to this podcast, all of the money, or a big portion of the money today, is going to the Alpha Boys School.
Institute.
In Jamaica. Yes.
And like Michael touched on earlier, man, Alpha Boys is historic. You got everyone from Tommy McCook, the Scottalites. You have a Horsemouth Wallace, Leroy Horsemouth Wallace, legendary drummer, went to Alpha Boys School. I mean, it's where a lot of these musicians get their chops, playing in the school band. And without this school, I cannot even imagine how many tunes we'd be deprived of. Like, it wouldn't exist.
Yeah, it'd be different. It'd be a different thing. Jamaica would have found ways to make music anyway, but it definitely would have been a different thing, because the Alpha Boys School really shaped the Scottalites, which was the band that shaped all Jamaican music after that, So, and it's still going strong, and they're still providing a place for kids to go learn how to play instruments and play great music. And we want people, as music fans, right? Let's just take the humanitarian side out of it for a second. As music fans, we want Jamaica making as much music as possible.
Amen.
So it's like, let's get instruments into the hands of these kids. And
amen. All the potential's wicked through the roof.
Jamaica's a special place. There's a reason why this tiny little island, with a crew of, when you really boil it down, our friend Blake Coley from Arise Roots was talking about this. When you really boil it down, it's about 300 people who are making music that just changed the world, that's
crazy.
That not only created reggae, which we all love, but, directly became hip hop, directly became electronic music, which are the two biggest musics in the world, obviously, in this tiny little island of 300 people. It's a magical place on planet Earth. And so, if you make a donation today at rootfire.net/TV or Venmo to Rootfire, we can do our small part in helping to keep that tradition going forward.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, man.
We talked about this earlier, but ladies and gentlemen, head over to the reggaepodclash.com. We're pretty excited about that website. We have a new feature on there where you could throw your email up, get logged into our database, and we're going to give away some free stuff. We're going to have some giveaways. And the only people that can get that stuff and be eligible for that contest giveaway stuff is if you sign up. So please just go up there, put an email, and you're good. Plus, beyond the free stuff, you're notified on all the cool things we got coming up.
Yeah.
It's just do it. It's so worth doing.
Just do it.
Just do it. Like
Can you
Nike
just do it,
said,
please?
just do it, please.
Yeah.
We need to get your grandmother to put her email in there, please. We need them.
Yeah, we're thinking of giving away like free mix CDs, like
Right,
music from Roger and I's music collection. Would you guys let us know in like send us an email or let us know through the Instagram or whatever if that's something you'd be into, because we've got lots of like potential giveaway things. We wanted to make it something, not just some like stuff we have lying around. We want to make it like it's something that you're gonna want. So
and something cool, something that you could be proud of, like saving. Not something that's going to be mass produced, but something that is organic, and hopefully in who knows how many years you can look back and go, oh, check it out, this is what I got. So.
And Diane Merchant wants to know, where do we sign up? And you can see, Diane, that Rootfire threw in the URL right there. It's the reggaepodclash.com. It's on the screen also. So please sign up for the mailing list. Go to the reggaepodclash.com. You can hear songs from Spotify or YouTube playlists that we're putting up every week. We're just trying to get reggae music out to the people. There's just so much great reggae music in general and Jamaican music specifically. And the goal of this podcast is to share as much of it as possible with as many people as possible. So that is definitely the place to start, the reggaepodclash.com. So like Roger said, we're not going to be here next weekend, but we will be back on Saturday, July 11th with our good friends, Fortunate Youth. That means you've got 2 weeks to go get familiar with the tune of the week on the reggaepodclash.com site. 2 weeks to get familiar with the band Fortunate Youth if you're not already. Please tell your friends. Please go subscribe to the pod, wherever you get your podcasts. Go subscribe there to get the Reggae Pod Clash downloaded onto your phone. Please go, we've got all of our previous episodes are up on YouTube also, so you can go watch it. And I think that's about it.
That's about it. Go get yourself some reggae. And thank you, everyone that tuned in today. It was a really cool show. And go Look for the Good by Mr. Jason Mraz. You will not regret it. It's a great album.
Yes. And Rootfire wants us to remind everybody that the podcast of this episode should be available middle of the next week. So we've got the first 7 up, and that means now we've got 3 more we need to upload this week.
Yes.
So, be patient with us while we do that, but it'll be up in the middle of the week. So please go subscribe, and you will get notified.
Yes.
All right, y'all. All right, Roger.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Devin, thank you as always.
All right. Thank you as well.
See you July 11th, everyone.
Yeah. Peace.